I hope everybody is doing good this morning. So it is 10 a.m. my time here. I'm on my second cup of coffee and I feel like I'm ready to go. So I hope you guys got some nice topics, some Linuxy discussions or anything you want to discuss really. We can get off topic. As we often do get off topic on these things. So what have you guys been up to? Big Pod, what you got?
Well, I was working on snaps. That's been a big part of my week, fixing the duplicate snap for one of the programs I maintain.
Yeah.
It was quite a work, but I'm quite happy. I learned even more that I did know, and I'm quite happy, and even more snap man.
Is it easy to snap a Python program?
No,
No.
that is not.
Okay.
That is not. But when I get it done, it is, and even the how snap team does things, it just makes a lot of sense, and they do things right.
I haven't
quite
looked
secure.
I haven't looked at your duplicate program. It's not compiled in any way, huh? It's just
it is compiled.
It is compiled.
Basically with the what is it called, the CPython thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CPython.
Okay. And is that part of what makes it challenging, or?
No, what makes it challenging is PyQt5.
PyQt5.
So
the
Qt5 for Py. It is quite a challenge to do things.
Well, you always can just hit up Popey on Telegram and get his advice on that, right?
Yeah, I've been using many stuff to learn, and now that I know even more than I used to know, it gets even easier nowadays.
Yeah. Packaging stuff, is a nice skill to know.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days I'll play around packaging some snaps. I don't know, I just haven't had time to play with that stuff. I mean, I've seen how it's done on video, you know.
Well, at least you know I taught you on video.
Yeah. I've seen Popey's videos on it too as well. He makes it seem pretty simple. It actually does look pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and especially since they have those desktop helpers, it makes it quite easy in many ways.
Now, because I would want to package my own stuff for my own personal use, not necessarily for public use. You know, what happens when I hop to a distro that doesn't use systemd? So that's why I probably eventually want to learn how to make my own app images, because I think those would be a little more portable, you know, carry around to, you know, anywhere I go. It doesn't matter what distro.
But then again, if you're packaging something, then you're probably, if you're not packaging as a snap or flatpak or AppImage, you're probably packaging for a particular package manager.
Well, yeah. I mean, so just put it in the AUR.
DNF, Pacman, and if you change distro to something that doesn't use that specific package manager, you're basically screwed.
Yeah.
Because they don't have access to that package. So something like Snap or Flatpak or AppImage is quite a useful thing, because most distros run Snap, run Flatpak, so, or can run.
Yeah, most of them, but you know,
so most of the time you can get it running. There are a few distros that don't. And
what happens when you switch to Gentoo with OpenRC or Void with Runit? You know, then you don't have the snapd daemon running. Then I mean, you can't do snaps. You'd have to do something else.
Well, you can install Gentoo with systemd. That's what I do.
Yeah, but you're probably the only Gentoo user that installs systemd.
No, I know there are a few more. They do have instructions on their site how to do it. They're like official instructions how to do it. So
I've seen it.
Just me. There must be quite a few of them.
A matter of fact, I saw. Yeah, they even have their own systemd ISO now. right?
Yeah,
So they make it a little
this is
easier.
the package is stage 3 tarball. They
Yeah.
they have one with system deep preset already. So yeah, that's
That's
quite
nice.
easy. Yeah.
Jean-Michel, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing quite well. Of course, not like you may do because I'm, of course, not as you a strong user. But as I mentioned, I think last the chat, I just went from XFCE to Spectrum VM on laptops.
Ah, cool.
And after 2 weeks, I was feeling, let's say, comfortable enough to move them to my main system.
Mhm.
So now I'm since 2.5 weeks, I have Spectre VM exclusively on my main machine, and I'm quite happy with that.
Oh, great.
I
Great.
I had some trouble with uh, understanding how the screen system works really, but
Mhm.
now what I really like in Spectre VM is that when you switch workspace, that is goes
Yeah.
on the screen that you are actually.
Mhm.
This is something I really like. I didn't know that this exists, but this is something that really fits for me.
Yeah. Xmonad, that particular window manager, it's been around for like 15, 20 years. It was kind of the first to make that kind of multi-monitor thing possible, the swapping of the workspaces. And oddly enough, very few window managers have copied it. Spectre WM is one of the few that does it similar. But once you get used to it, it's hard to go back. Because if you're on a 2 or 3 or 4 monitor system, I love, you swap a workspace, it just swaps monitors with the other workspace you were trying to go to.
Yeah, this is really. I have only 2 monitors, but already with 2 monitors,
Yeah.
it's quite good.
And most people, of course, probably are on a single monitor system, so they don't see that aspect of it. It's only when you plug in an extra monitor, you get to see that stuff. All right, hold on. Let's see. All right, we had some crazy static there. Let's see. We have fellow Jitser. I'm not sure who that is. They haven't put a username there. Who else do we have? WM as the username. Hey. Still trying to get his audio working, I think.
I think it works.
Yep, you're good. I hear you. All right. Yeah, Jean-Michel, if you like Spectre WM, if you like the way it works, some other window managers, if you ever want to try out any others, because they work very, very similar to Spectre WM, Qtile would be an easy one to get into. It works kind of similar to Spectre WM. It's just written in Python, so that may be a little more challenging, but it's not too bad. I bet you could figure out the config file for it. Xmonad.
Yeah, I may try.
Yeah, Xmonad, of course, is what Spectre WM was patterned after, and that's a little tougher because of the Haskell. Just a second, guys. Tangled up in something here. All right. All right. Any of you other guys got anything you want to share? Anybody done any Linuxy stuff? Any distro hopping? Any special projects? Since it's been a month since we've chatted, surely you guys have done something cool. No one?
My mic working?
Oh, we hear you.
Okay. Hello, guys. I had some trouble with the microphone. I don't know why isn't it working, but I have a Bluetooth headset and only the output works, not the input.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, that's weird.
So anyway, I'd like to add something to systemd distros and packaging, because I recently tried Artix, which has run it and OpenRC options, as you might know. And they have separate packages to provide compatibility for existing packages, like from taken from Arch, but also they add configuration from OpenRC, run it, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably use shims of sorts.
Well, you probably have to on some things because,
To
like the GNOME desktop environment,
Yeah.
I expect systemd to be on the system, so you probably have to hack some things for GNOME to work on your
Yeah.
non-systemd distro. Yeah.
It's same for Snap. It expects to be systemd because it has to manage services.
Yeah.
Because a part of it is management services, and it's either writing for one that is in most locations or for everything. And they don't want to write for everything because that would, in many cases, be wasted code.
No.
They should probably make modules. In my opinion, they should make modules that would allow for you to connect different, what are they called, different init systems
Yeah.
like OpenRC. But if they don't, most people use systemd.
Yeah, but I mean, the people that criticize systemd do have a point that it's kind of got its fingers into everything. You know, it's become this big, bloated, monolithic piece of software that's, you know, it tries to infect areas of your system that maybe it shouldn't be messing with. And then it becomes difficult to use a different init system when everything depends on systemd.
Okay, time for me to jump off.
All right, we'll see you, Big Pod. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, got some.
Good morning, Bear. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
How's my audio?
Very loud. Way down. Turn it way down. Oh, my goodness. Lots of static. I'm going to go ahead and mute you for a second.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so your audio level was very high. It was distorted. It was nothing but static. So make sure in the settings that you have the right input set. If you have multiple mics, it may have not selected the right microphone. And if it did select the right microphone, maybe pull up Pulse Audio volume control and make sure it's not set to 200% for the output. Or that was very distorted. It's always a challenge, though, on these conference calls like this. Everybody's fighting with audio. Half the time I'm fighting with audio. So, because I actually haven't used Jitsi since the last one of these we did. I don't usually use these kind of video chat programs for anything. Not my kind of thing.
How is it now? Is that still too loud?
It's still a little too high, yeah. It's better, though. It's not as... It doesn't sound like a plane taking off like it did before. So it's getting better.
Is there any reason why you're not using the Zoom?
People wanted me to try something else.
Cool.
Yeah, I would prefer to use Zoom. It's a better piece of software. It's not free and open source, though. But people are like, hey, can you do something open source? Or actually, people really had a problem with Zoom because of it's not, and it's like, well, why do we care about security for what I'm doing? Yeah, I mean,
but it is a far superior platform than anything else
it
going
is,
on out there.
It is. I mean, it's proprietary garbage, but Jitsi, I can't tell you guys how bad this. Well, you guys know, you're on it with me. This is a pretty bad piece of software. I know it's free and open source. I don't want to trash people that work on free and open source, but there are some things that are just mind-boggling about this piece of software.
This is my first time using it, and I don't see anything. I mean, so what is it that you don't like about it?
All right. Well, one of the issues is I cannot password protect this room. Now, don't try this, but all you guys that are on the call right now, if you wanted to, you could kick everybody else out of this room, including me. I started the call. You could kick me out of the room.
Okay.
You could just shut this down right now. That's why I could never use this really for a public call, like just anybody join. It's just for you guys, the patrons, because, I mean, I know who you guys are, but, you know, we could get trolls that join this room and just kick us off. And then you.
But there doesn't seem.
Yeah.
I was just going to say there doesn't seem to be a delay between like what you say and what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the other things that like the company I work for that we use.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So much delay.
So,
but this is pretty good.
Yeah. So Jitsi has been around for a few years, and people have complained. Everybody that uses Jitsi has complained about not being able to password protect the room, and they refuse to actually add that feature. It's just it's a feature. It's not a bug, and they're never going to fix it. So that's part of the reason why Jitsi hasn't caught on the way it probably should. Some of the other things I don't like about Jitsi, do you guys notice the bottom left-hand corner? You see the chat box? It looks like we got 11 things in the chat. You guys are chatting. That is not a private chat because it appears in this window if I click on it. So don't put anything crazy in that window. Where in Zoom, it's a separate window, meaning I could move that chat to another monitor that I'm not recording. Nobody will ever see it. I can't do that with Jitsi. When I click to read the chat, it has to appear in this window I'm recording, unless I move the entire Jitsi window to a different monitor real quick just for me to read the messages. I don't like that. You know, that's kind of not good.
How's the audio now, Derek? Still too loud?
Yes,
too noisy?
It's you know, we can hear you. It's just it's distorted a little bit. It's, you know, it's
distorted in.
It's just overmodulated. It's loud. Yeah, it's like the gain is way up. Like, you know.
Okay, give me. Be patient. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But it's better.
Yeah, I mean, we can hear you. Before when you first joined, it was rough. Yeah. Yeah, no hurries with the audio. We're going to be here for a while, so you can play with the settings. Like I said, this is always a challenge doing these.
Yeah. How is it now? Is it still okay, or is it noisy?
It's better. It's getting there. I noticed this time I hear a little bit less of like background noise and, you know, things.
How about now? Is it okay now?
It still sounds about the same.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. But it's as far as you speaking, yeah, we can hear you clearly. We can make out what you're saying now. All right. So some of the Linuxy stuff. I'm trying to think of what I have done since the last time we've talked, other than, you know, just making videos. Any other projects I've had? I've been thinking about distro hopping on my main production machine. I think I probably will soon. Certainly by the time we do the next patrons chat, I think I'm going to be on a different distro. I've got some things kicking around in my head. I think it's time for me to get off the Arch-based distros, do something different on my main production machine. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking about doing, but I'm going to save that for video, probably in the next couple of days. Like I'll highlight it'll be something different, though. You know, if I'm going to do it, it's not going to be the same tired old distros everybody runs. We're going to make it fun. So, other than that, then the last month, you know, looking at some of the content I've made, obviously focused a lot on Xmonad for the last couple of months. Did some Emacs stuff. I did the Herbst Luft WM video, which I've been back in. Yeah, I've been using that for the last 3 or 4 days. And it's a really fine window manager, tiling window manager. It's a manual tiler. It's not my kind of tiler, but I can use them. I mean, I lived in BSPWM for 30 days at one point, like a year and a half ago. And it was the same, you know, it was a fine window manager. I prefer dynamic tilers, you know, with preset layouts, but I can use them. I can use the manual tilers. Let's see.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I saw your video about the X menu.
Mhm.
And I found it quite interesting. I didn't try it now, but did you make more tests and use it a little more?
I haven't because I don't really need it. Because I use things like D menu. So that's X menu would be more for people that actually want a traditional kind of menu that you can actually open it with the mouse. You can search through it with the mouse through the different categories and subcategories. You can click on it with the mouse. You can't do that with something like D menu. D menu, there's no mouse functionality at all. It's all keyboard driven. I hit a key combination, D menu comes up, I type something. When it finds what I want, I hit enter. So it's two different kinds of applications. But I have no use for X menu. But I know a lot of people that watch my content definitely have a use for it. A lot of people want that kind of traditional menu system. And if you go to a minimal window manager, maybe a minimal window manager, a floating window manager that doesn't have some kind of built-in right-click menu, OpenBox and Fluxbox already have menu systems, but there are some out there that don't. And you need some kind of third-party menu system. X menu is easy to get up and working. All you have to do is git clone it, run the sudo make install, and then after that, you just open up the little config file and add your menu entries.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to use it, I might add it. No, I was about to say I might add it to some of my configs for people that want it, because all of my tiling window managers, I have panels, and it would be easy for me to just throw an icon somewhere on that panel that launches X menu for especially new tiling window manager users. That way they have some kind of traditional menu to use until they learn the key combinations. I could do something like that. But like Awesome Window Manager. Yeah, I used it. I actually first started using Awesome Window Manager like 10 years ago, and I used it for a long time. And Awesome Window Manager has a built-in menu, kind of like X menu, where if you click on the desktop, it brings up a menu system. You can edit it and everything. It's very similar. I never used it. Matter of fact, for the first 6 months I used Awesome Window Manager, I don't even think I knew the menu was there, that it was even possible to click on the desktop and bring up the menu. Because it's a tiling window manager, you just assume it doesn't have a menu system. I'd already installed D menu and started using it. So.
Yep.
Hi guys.
Hey Ben, how you doing?
I just woke up.
We can't tell.
Yeah, because I combed my hair.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Now this stream, I don't actually look like a freaking scruff.
No. Yeah.
So anyway,
Ben, what have you hopped to lately? I know you're never on the same distribution, so.
Well, actually, this laptop behind me, my Ryzen laptop, is currently without Windows. It's running Arch and Linux from scratch.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, it's been running Arch for the past week or two, I think.
Because Linux from scratch was not working?
Well, it actually had to be started all the heck over again, Derek.
Yeah, well, that's why I would install Arch. Yeah, I would.
Well, it's running both, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, LFS is not a good thing as a daily driver, as you and me both know.
Well, right. It's an instruction manual. It's a learning tool.
Yes, and you know, I'm only dual booting it because I want. It's a learning curve. You know, it's like one of the hardest distros to provide to yourself.
Yeah, but once you get used to, especially once you have it installed and you get used to using a distro that doesn't have a package manager and doesn't manage dependencies, then when you hop to Slackware, you're prepared because you've done it all, right?
Exactly. Because you've done everything.
Right.
Yeah. Now, there is a guy out there named Emmett1 who built a distro called Venom Linux, who actually has a pre-built package manager for LFS based around this distro. And what I decided to do was, for mine, I'm planning to fork his package manager and put it in my distros.
Yeah, but if you're gonna go with a package manager and all that,
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, just install Gentoo. Just install a real distro with a real package manager.
Yeah, I know, but you know, I've already gone through like the tool chain and everything, so I figured, what the hey, you know, if I plan to actually keep this LFS, we're gonna need something that can do that. So, yeah. But that's just the way I see it. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And also, I am updating my Storm OS distro as well. That's based on Arch, and Calamaris is providing, you know, they're updated since I last built it, and I found that I had some errors because I hadn't updated my configs for Calamaris in a long time. So I had to patch those as well, and I was like, holy smoke.
Well,
they changed a lot of stuff. So.
Well, before you got here, Ben, I was telling the rest of the group here that I was thinking about distro hopping soon on my main production machine.
Dude.
Well, you know, I'm trying to get off of the Arch base distros because I'm just too comfortable with them. So I'm thinking about wiping out Arch and installing maybe a source-based distribution on my main production machine soon. I'm not going to tell you which ones I'm thinking about, but is that a bad idea, Ben?
No, I would say that I'm just going to ask you this. If you plan on Gentoo, be prepared for a challenge.
What Gentoo would be the most mainstream source-based distro out there, so if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do something a little more off the wall.
I would recommend that if you want to go really freaking off the wall. Yeah. I'm just telling you, as your friend, you're probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. Of course, you know, it's always.
I hope EB doesn't go with that mankini crap he's been going on for a long time.
No. Well, I already am planning, though, whatever I decide to hop to. I'm going to make 2 USB sticks. I'm going to make the USB stick for the distro I'm going to try. And if for some reason, immediately, I know it's not going to work out, I'm also going to have Arch on a USB stick to put Arch back on here. So,
good God.
Yeah. I'm not going to be like that time I decided, I don't know if you guys were following the channel about 2 years ago. I did a poll, and I was like, hey, pick a distro for me to hop to. And people picked Ghost BSD.
Oh God, BSD.
And I was like, well, that should
never again.
I was like, that should be easy because Ghost BSD is designed for desktops, not servers. I mean, it's still BSD, but I didn't know better.
Yeah, it's BSD, but you know.
I hopped to it on my main production machine, and I spent 4 days trying to get a working microphone. And in 4 days, I never could get audio to work on my microphone. And after 4 days, I went back to Linux. And then I trolled everybody that talked me into trying Ghost BSD and told them I would never do BSD again, and it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'll probably try it again at some point because I'm a glutton for punishment. So.
I'm a glutton for punishment too, my friend. I tell you, I look at things, you know, and I say, oh, and then I just go right back to glutton for punishment.
Yeah. And someone in the chat is asking about Sabian or Calculate. As far as it's source-based distros, yeah, both of them are Gentoo-based. Now, Sabian and Calculate, you can actually use binaries. Or if you want to, you can use a merge and, you know, get your source-based builds as well. Both fine distributions. I'm not saying that those are the ones I'm going to hop to, though. You just have to stay tuned to the channel. I'm not going to give away any hints. Other than it might be a source-based
Void.
Void.
Someone's saying try Void. Oh, God.
You know what? I've always wanted to hop to Void on my main production machine because I think it's an interesting project. I'm just not sure how well that one would work. I don't know. It might work fine.
There. Mm-hmm. If you pick Gentoo, you can recruit me to be there to help you with the installation.
Well, yes, because, I mean, I'm going to need somebody to be there for that 8-hour live stream when we do the install.
Get out.
Well, I have a Threadripper. It'll get done quicker than that. Now, on my last main production machine, that Gen 2 installation video I did, I gave it 2 cores of my 4-core CPU at the time.
Oh, God.
And
actually, I think it was 6 cores.
Yeah, it was a 6-core CPU, but I only gave it 2 cores.
Oh, God.
And that installation of Gen 2 that I recorded on camera took 5.5 hours.
Well, if you're doing this on a Threadripper, kind of similar to Zeb's machine, it shouldn't take that long.
Oh, yeah. I would think the Threadripper, we should be able to get that done in under an hour.
Oh, God. I don't know if it'll take that quick, but it should go quick. Well, anyway, yeah, if you want me there, I'll definitely provide some guidance. Don't worry.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to do Gen 2. Like I said, that's too mainstream.
Yeah, well,
everybody does Gen 2, Ben. You know that. There about 3 months ago, it looked like everybody that had a Linux channel wanted to do Gen 2 live streams there for a while. Every time I opened up my web browser, somebody was live streaming a Gen 2 installation. And I was like, when did Gen 2 become so popular?
Oh, God. Even I was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were there and I was helping Ricky.
There were a couple of times that 2 or 3 people in my subscription list were all doing Gen 2 installations at the same time. You know, it's one of those complaints people often talk about YouTubers. They all copy each other. They all see somebody else do something, then they got to make similar videos or response videos. It's like that one crazy guy made the Gen 2 video, and then everybody else has to make theirs.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it may be mainstream, but it's, you know, it's not, you know, it's not the, well, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not as bad as most people think.
Yeah. Crazy Chandra in the chat is saying that for some reason Emerge in Savion is kind of broken. Well, to be fair, Emerge in Gen 2 can be kind of broken in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
If I'm using it, I can break some stuff.
Oh, God. We've all seen Derek break crap before.
And Leviticus in the chat, he says, Zebedee Boss, yeah, you guys not following his channel. Yeah, he does the trucking live streams a lot. He has a 16-core. Yeah. He has the 16-core Threadripper, and it still took him a while, I guess, building Gen 2.
Yeah,
nice. Zeb has a beast of a machine.
We've all seen Derek break crap before.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, somebody's got something going on.
Yeah, we got some feedback. The speakers are bleeding through somebody's microphone.
I don't know.
Yeah. If it took a long time for Zeb to build Gen 2 on his system, it probably took him a long time just to read the documentation or talk you guys through it if he was doing it on camera.
Well, actually, Serge was helping him.
Yeah, that was slowing him down then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
because there's no way Zeb's machine, he could probably compile the big kernel in like 5 minutes on that machine he's got.
Right. Well, then again, he does type a little slow, but
yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, you know, people go at their own pace.
Yeah. That's like my Arch installation video. I've got comments on that. I was like, hey, this is just going to be a quick Arch installation guide. And I made a 47-minute video. And people are like, man, what the hell are you talking about? Installing Arch is quick. I was like, well, I talked you through the installation process. If I just sat down and just banged away stuff on the keyboard, in 15 minutes I would have been done. But, I mean, I got to explain what I'm doing. All right. And we got some noise coming through. That might have just been you, Ben. Did you mute yourself? Yeah, I think you did.
I did. I'm just getting my headphones on.
Yeah, no problem.
Good morning, Derek and everyone. It's Murray. Can you hear me okay?
Nope.
I've got a couple of topics if you're interested in.
No, absolutely, Murray.
First thing is NU shell has been updated. I think 9 months ago when you first reviewed it was on 0.3.
Okay.
4 months ago it was on 0.9. Now it's on 0.16. And they finally made some changes I was looking for. Used to be you'd have to, the only way to use it was log into a terminal and then enter NU and then enter your commands and then log out. you couldn't use it programmatically, and now they changed it. You can use it like Python. You can do nu-c and then a command, or nu space and then a file and a bunch of commands, and you can even pipe into it from standard input. You can say echo quote ls space / root quote pipe symbol nu. So they fixed it up the way I've been waiting for patiently for 9 months now.
Yeah, because when I looked at the new shell, I was actually impressed with it for, you know, what it was at the time. It's not something you could use. I mean, it wasn't that useful. You're right, until you can actually use it scripting, you know, and piping stuff into it and things like that. I'm going to go ahead, just because you mentioned it, I know I'll forget. I'm going to go ahead and run a quick installation of the latest new shell.
Are you using Cargo to do that?
No, I was going to get it from the AUR, but it doesn't look like that's the right version. What's the latest version?
.16.
Well, actually, the one in the AUR is 1.7.
Okay, so I did it 2 weeks ago.
Ah, okay.
It's
well, I guess they've
updated
already done a minor update since then. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Yeah, the other thing is I finally got my first GitLab up there a couple of days ago.
Cool. How you like GitLab?
I love it a lot, but I don't know how to publish the URL. How do I make it available to you guys? I've got it so I can use it, but how do I? I've Googled it and can't find out how to do that.
You just share the URL to your home page, kind of like I do. What exactly are you trying to share? Just the...
It's something to do with Python. Let me bring it up here then and see if you guys can access it. Okay. Can we try that?
Sure. You can post it in the Jitsi chat. I don't think you can post in the YouTube chat. It won't take a URL.
Okay, give me a minute or two then. I'm going to ask you, when you develop Python code, do you use an IDE or use Vim, or what do you use to write your Python code?
For me, I have always used Vim or recently Emacs.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But but I'm not really a programmer. People that all they do is program Python, they typically run
PyCharm.
PyCharm is the most popular Python IDE that people use. There's some other ones out there, but PyCharm is probably the most popular one.
Yeah, Ryan was using that, and I picked up on it a few weeks ago. Yep. And there's some really interesting things you can do with that because it's so extensible and customizable. Yep. And do that. So,
but
I'm gonna.
If you're comfortable with Vim, you can. Python's fine in Vim. Actually, if you're comfortable in Vim, Doom Emacs. Once you get into Emacs has everything you could possibly want, for a Python IDE. So that might be an even better way to go at some point. But it just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah. How do I post a link into chat? Do anyone know?
In the Jitsi chat, go to the bottom left, and there's a little chat window. It's the third button.
A hand, okay.
Let's see if it'll let you post a link in there.
Thanks. Oh, there it is, okay.
Or I could let you post it in the YouTube chat. I'd have to make you a moderator of the YouTube chat, though. And to do that, I would have to have you post in the YouTube chat first so I could get your username up.
Okay. Type a message. So just enter it in the message area?
Yeah, testing from Murray. I got you.
Okay. Now I'll post the link.
All right. Yep. And it looks like...
Okay, so
do I sound better now, Derek?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Can you access that link?
I could if I was logged in. I have to log into GitLab. Give me just a second.
Could you make it public? I don't think I have an account on GitLab.
Yeah, that's the problem. Also, it says page not found when I finally log in. So let me see.
Yeah, I have the same page not found.
Well, which of your repositories was that in? Was that in a Hello World repository or a Run App repository? I see you have two of them.
Oh, it's PyCharm AppImage. I should have 3. Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's not.
I bet I didn't make the other public.
You have to make the repository public. That's why we can't see it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me do that one.
Well, that would be the reason. Now, anytime you create a new repository on GitLab, by default, it makes it private, which makes sense because when you first create it, you haven't really done anything to it yet. You haven't uploaded anything. But that link should work once you finally get the permissions right for us to see it.
Okay, I'm changing it now. Refresh it, should see it if you...
Yep, you now have 3 repositories showing on your GitLab homepage, and now, yep, it works.
Try the PyCharm one, see if you can get into that.
It works. The link you posted works, and now it's actually showing on your main page.
Okay.
At,
so
gitlab.com/chesmurray. Like now, when I go there, it shows 3 repositories, including the PyCharm. Yep.
Okay, so hypothetical situation, you've written a Python application, takes you 3 months, it's a full-fledged application. How do you distribute it?
Well, if you'd have been here at the beginning of the stream before Big Pod was here early on, and he had to leave, he had a family get-together to go to, he actually helps a guy that created this Python program called Dupliseek. He helps this guy package his stuff as a snap. So he could tell you a little bit how to package a Python program as a snap package if that's what you wanted to do. Other than that, I mean, you could do it as a Flatpak or an AppImage if you knew how to do that. I don't know how to handle either one of those package formats. So
every Python programmer, if he wants to, or he or she wants to distribute it, has to learn one of those package managers. So that's my take on it.
Well, that's any program. Yes, you have to learn a package manager of some kind. Yeah. Most people, before we had snaps, flatpaks, and AppImages, what most people did is they made usually 2 packages. They made a deb and they made a RPM because that covered almost everybody. And then what they would do is they would just throw everything in a tarball as well for those people that didn't run deb or RPM based distros. So if those people can just build it from source if they need to.
So what this site does here, it's, if you're using PyCharm, it lets you create an app image without knowing any from your source code, without knowing anything about app images. It'll add you an option in there. You right click and say select and then create app image. 20-30 seconds left, you'll have the app image without knowing it. So this site lets you set up projects that will do that on there.
Cool.
And so anyone who wants to distribute their source, they can develop in PyCharm normally, forget about app images and everything else. When they're ready to run it, they select tools, project apps, create app image, and there's another one to run the app image. And so what I've done is I embedded the app image source code into the project code along with the Python runtime and a main. So it'll take the headache out of distributing your package. And I actually did it with Dupliseek. I took his code and put it in there, and it runs well with Dupliseek as well.
Oh, cool.
So that was it. So I'm hoping some people will glom onto that and see if I've got it working on 2 different machines here at home, and it works really well.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the idea behind it. Matter of fact, I can see a lot of people getting a lot of use out of it. You'll probably inspire some other people to take that idea even further. Don't be surprised if people want to do it with Rust and Go and everything else. I mean, eventually, so.
Anything that's interpreted, you could probably use it with Node as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing, the nice thing about distributing with AppImages is that if I sent you the app image, you could do AppImage name AppImage extract, and you could get the source code for it. So you can see everything in there. Like Derek has, BigBot has some PNG files and XML files in the source.
Mm-hmm.
You can reverse it and get at the source as well. So when you distribute the app image, you're distributing the source as well.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of nice.
Well, it's just an archive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, and what we should do is, because you gave us that link, but nobody else, since I have permissions to actually post in the YouTube chat, I'm going to post your link in the YouTube chat. You guys in the YouTube chat, if you're interested in Murray's PyCharm AppImage repository, take a look at that, because that is really neat. Let you create something in PyCharm, and it packages it up as an app image for you. All right. Oh, all right. Very cool, Murray. Well, you're doing a lot of cool stuff over on your GitLab.
Yeah, I've got a hello world for AppImage that for people who are learning it. I have to update it. I think it's pretty much on the fly. I haven't had a chance to go in detail with those.
Yeah, and that's one of those I've been needing to get into at some point. I've been thinking about packaging some of my stuff as app images, just for my personal use to take with me on any machines I hop around on.
If you're in, if you control the content of the app image, it's not that difficult.
Right.
If you're trying to get somebody else's code, like say Nano, to run in it, that's not package aware.
Mm-hmm.
I've been you try to force it into it, so that takes a lot of time and effort. But if if you control the code yourself, creating an app image is relatively easy on it.
Oh.
So you can try that hello world and and it's really good for launching applications. Like you could launch OBS from an app image, and you have a home folder. If you call it run OBS, you have a home folder. You can create a home folder, run obs.image.home. And all your settings go into the new home folder, and they're isolated from the system. So you could back up your OBS settings along with the app image. If your system crashes, you bring it back down, and your settings are where you left them. So if a programs follow standards, they use home folder.config and home folder.local to store their settings. Mm-hmm. And as long as it does that, then it'll go into your new home folder, and you can back up and restore it. You can launch anything like that. I've done it with Thunderbird, OBS, KDN Live, Dolphin.
Yeah.
About 50% of the programs follow the standards, and then the other ones don't.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say, yeah, you're going to run into a problem where there's so many developers out there that don't care about the XDG standards as far as where they should be placing their configs and everything.
Of the mainline apps, I've got about 50% luck on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's an easy way to solve that problem. There's probably nothing really that can be done about that. I mean, that's on the developers of that app.
The other side, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Oh my goodness. What in the heck? Somebody's spamming the YouTube chat? I don't know what that guy's problem is. How about we just remove that guy? Yeah. All right. That's weird. We usually don't have problems with trolls. But it is a Sunday, you know, people are bored. So, GitLab. One of the things that's been bugging me with GitLab, I love the platform. What I did not like is I did not like how bright, blinding white GitLab was. So I decided I needed to do something a little different. So I went with a dark theme. I found a neat little dark theme for GitLab, and it looks a lot better. Because the white theme for GitLab was just hurting my eyes. You know? You guys in the watching the YouTube stream got to see that. So. All right.
So how do you get it?
I found a plugin, Firefox. You know Stylish, that particular plugin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Install Stylish, and then when you go to the site where you get the Stylish themes, I did a search for GitLab, and the one I installed was, let me see which one is turned on here. Let's see, dark-GitLab. So,
Okay. So
and that
add it to my repository.
Which, as big a site as GitLab is, I thought it would have like a built-in kind of dark mode to it, but it really doesn't. The only preferences that I can see to change are, like when you're reading the source code of a file, you can change that. You know, you can change that to solarized or Monakai and Gruffbox or whatever. But that's just the little box that has the document you're reading. It's not for the entire web page. All right. Zach, you have a working microphone, sir? Nope. I thought you might not. That's why I asked. Because you'd been here long enough. Yeah. I knew it was more than just audio settings. Yeah. You don't have to speak, though. Don't worry about it. You don't even have to be on camera to join these things. If you don't want to engage, it's not a requirement. All right, who else did we have here? I see we had Claudio is also here. I'm not sure if he's got a working microphone or not. Willie, what have you been up to? Yeah, I caught you off guard, Willie.
Yeah. Just mainly do work stuff. Work from home.
Yeah.
Luckily, I run the AI lab at the company I work for, so that's I do that kind of stuff as like side project.
Mm-hmm.
And for my work, so it really works out well.
So
But yeah, just
you run the AI lab. Is that as exciting as that sounds?
it actually sounds a lot cooler than it really is.
Okay, because it sounds like a really cool, super hacker kind of job.
Yeah, no, it's just me and I manage two other guys, and they
So, what kind of tools do you all use? What are you programming in?
well, all our machines are Linux, Ubuntu, and we mainly use like TensorFlow and PyTorch and
cool. You guys running the latest Ubuntu LTS, or you on one of the older?
No, well, because when I purchased the equipment like a year and a half ago, I ordered 2080 Ti's, and for some reason I could not get them to work in 1804, so I had to fall back to 1604. And now we're just so embedded in our work that I'm just kind of holding off on upgrading. I don't want to upgrade to 18. I'd rather upgrade to 20. But I want to kind of let it settle out a little bit. Maybe wait until the fall before I upgrade everything. And I've also had luck in the past strictly upgrading. I always do a lot better if I just do a fresh install.
Yeah.
But
well, you can't mess up a fresh install. That's why it's better. You there's no way to mess up a fresh install, but upgrades, there's always that potential. Right?
Yeah.
And nowadays Linux installs are so quick. It's hard not to just do a fresh install, right? I mean, why bother with the upgrade? Because the upgrade's a net upgrade. You're going to have to download 1,000 new updates to your machine. It's going to take forever. And, you know, it might take you an hour to download all the updated packages, or you can reinstall Ubuntu server in 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we use a lot of software, and we have like our machines configured a certain way, so it's and the configuration, and it's my fault, isn't like a nice streamlined, hey, when you start a new machine, this is what you do, and then you're done. No, it's like we kind of piece it together as we go along. So I'm always trying to remember, okay, I got to write down what we did to make this work. And
Yeah, someone
Anyway.
someone in the chat is saying that Ubuntu package names are really long. I don't think that's an Ubuntu problem. That's just Linux package names in general, or typically are long. Ubuntu packages are really Debian packages anyway, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, Ubuntu is really good for AI because a lot of the libraries out there are kind of, if they have to pick a distro to make their program work on, it's Ubuntu first and foremost, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we want to get things up and running and get to iterating real quick on stuff. So it's just easiest. Now, if I had somebody in the lab who was a lot better at Linux than I was, I might be inclined to use something else, you know, and compile everything from scratch. But
No, not that. That's not where you wanted to go. You wanted to go Arch is where you wanted to go.
really,
Because you're going to find everything you need in the AUR.
everything.
Pretty much. It's hard not to find. It's, you know, Arch is probably the distro I have had to compile stuff from source the least.
Really?
Compared to anything. Oh, yes. By far. By far. Your Debian and Ubuntu's a close second, but Arch, you never have to go and find, or, you know, pull something down from GitHub and build it. Because if it's not in the standard repository, it's almost certainly in the AUR. And then, you know, those very rare times you can't find it in the AUR. Snaps, Flatpaks, AppImages. I mean, you never have to.
Good example of that is Bad Wolf. You found it in the AUR. I can't get it to install on Debian 9 on it. They need an app image for that thing. But you're right. There's several times that you've been installing stuff from the AUR and I can't get it on Debian 9.
Well, I'll give you a great example, real world example. If I tried to do the stuff I do on my YouTube channel on Debian or Ubuntu LTS, more than half the stuff that I've reviewed on the channel, I'd probably have to build myself because it wouldn't be available. All right, we've got some music bleeding through. Somebody?
Yeah, sorry. It's my son seeing a Disney movie.
Okay. Well, if you have headphones, Edward, you put them in, and it will stop these noise bleeding through. It's badly. Yeah.
So, so about Arch, and this is probably a dumb question, but is the support for NVIDIA graphics drivers pretty good?
Oh yeah, because you're going to have all the drivers and stuff that you use in Ubuntu. You're going to have some newer ones available to you, but you don't have to use those. I would use, you know, what's been working for you.
Huh. Yeah, I had some history with NVIDIA drivers, and I had a really old graphic card. And in AUR you can find the old branch of NVIDIA drivers and also the package for DKMS, right? For kernel support.
And if you ever have a issue with a driver or a kernel that's, you know, not acting right, you can just run a downgrade. There is actually an AUR package called downgrade. Install that, And then when I do downgrade, name a package, say last week I had a bad kernel update that was causing me some issues. It was causing my computer to stutter. I was having problems recording audio and video. And I knew it was probably the latest and greatest kernel. It was 5.7.10 that Arch had just put out. And I had just done that update. So I open up a terminal and I type downgrade Linux, because Linux is the name of the package, the kernel. And it asks me what version do I want to go back to. And it gives me a list of the last 20 different kernel versions. I put 5.4, the last LTS. It installed that, removed 5.7.10. Boom, done. And then it asks you, do you want to basically pin that package so that it doesn't try to update to 5.7.10 the next time I run an update? Yeah. Okay. And then you never have to worry about it. It'll never try to upgrade that package. You can just stay on that kernel or stay on that video driver or whatever it is that you never want to update. And you're good. No, it's really simple. It's not difficult.
Well, I got an old machine here that isn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't have any room. We're in the process of building the house, so in about 4 months, I'll have a lot of room to tinker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not saying, Arch versus Ubuntu or Arch versus Debian as far as stability, but I can speak as somebody that often needs the absolute latest packages that just came out. Arch is always the best option. It's just the rolling release nature of it. It's hard, especially Debian. Debian is so old and crusty. If I was running Debian 10, then probably 90% of the software I've taken a look at on the channel I couldn't have got running on Debian without having to build it from source. And then you have to build all the dependencies too, because it's going to require dependencies that are not in the Debian repos, and you just get into this complete hell where you just spend hours building stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Debian 9, and you're right about the standard stuff, but a lot of the stuff I use, I get independently anyway, like Firefox, you download from source, and it's always competent. Right. PyCharm, you download from source, and Go and Rust, and a lot of the other tools I've got, I download anyway. But I'm a little different. I don't need the bleeding edge. I do development, and as long as I've got those tools and a stable platform, I'm okay. But I couldn't do half of what you do on an Arch system, but I don't need to.
Yeah. Well, it does make it simple if you're going to use those language package managers, like if you're going to use Cargo with Rust or pip with Python, or if I was running Debian, like I would need some of the latest Haskell libraries to do some of what I do with Xmonad and things like that. I would just install all of that with Cabal, right? I wouldn't try to get that from the Debian repos because they would be 2 years old by now, All right.
I'm not sure, Derek, I've lost your audio. Is it me or is it in your side of things?
I think it was.
I'm still not hearing you.
Yeah, give me a second.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, something weird was going on. It might have been on Murray's end because I'm monitoring OBS and I can see the meter going when I speak. So it's receiving input from me.
Yeah, at some point you have like a 2 seconds mute because I cannot hear anything, but now I can hear you very well.
Okay. Well, it might have been a networking issue. It might have just been the internet crapping out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I was going to commend you that it's supposed to be a password protection issue featuring Jitsi.
I'm sorry. What was that?
You can set a password to the Jitsi Meet rooms.
Yeah, somebody in the chat was mentioning that. Let's see.
There is like a shield icon on the bottom left. It says security options.
In the bottom left. Well, I have the
Yes, when
share
they're
your screen. I have that.
It's the bottom right, actually, I think.
Bottom
yes,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's bottom right.
yeah, sure, bottom right,
Security options. Oh, yeah.
and then you can set the password.
Oh, cool. Let me add a password.
I would prefer to have it in a little more stable situation before shading.
Yeah.
But it's being fun to construct a version of your favorite distribution with the desktop you use or the environment you use. The experience has been really fun.
All right. We had a problem with the stream here. It looked like the stream went offline for a second. It looks like it's back now. All right. Yeah, everybody that's watching on the YouTube, yeah, if you're having a problem with the stream, refresh. I don't know what's going on with the network. All of a sudden, it's having some issues here. All right. Well, hopefully it will not cause us any more issues, but if it gets too bad, oh well. I can still chat with you guys here in the Jitsi window. Unfortunately, the folks watching on YouTube may not catch some of it. And that's always the problem with these live streams, though. Why I don't like doing them is, if you have problems with your internet or power goes out or something like that, then whatever you were doing is completely messed up. I don't have to worry about that, just pre-recording everything. I just prefer recording everything rather than doing anything live. Obviously, this is an exception, though. This isn't, real content. This is me just hanging out with you guys. But like the other day, I tried to make that video. There was a video I tried to record live, and it was an important topic. Like, I really wanted the video to turn out right. And the live stream was horrible. Rewriting all of my configs in org mode. I did it live. And, everything was good, except I had some internet issues. When I went back to look at the stream, there were chunks of video missing. And I was like, man, that was too important a topic not for me to go back and re-record that. So after I did the 2-hour live stream, I actually went back and recorded it all again on my own, pre-recorded it and edited it, spent like 4 hours making it again, and posted it to YouTube. So I couldn't let that one go. If it had been something goofy, me gaming or something, I wouldn't have cared. But I was like, that was a real topic, and I need to make sure I get that one actually right. And yeah, somebody in the chat, yeah, sorry, but the stream is broken today. Yeah, well, not much I can do about it. We are at the mercy of my internet provider, Comcast, which sucks pretty bad. We're also at the mercy of YouTube for their servers, because sometimes it's YouTube's end that's causing the issues. Yeah, somebody is saying they're having a problem with my audio. That they're having to crank up their volume to hear me. Now that is weird, because I have not adjusted my audio settings at all. Make sure.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, because Pulse Audio, I'm looking at my settings. They're all exactly where they've always been. So, Christian in the YouTube chat, if you're having to crank up your volume to the max to understand me, I don't know what the problem is. I would check your audio settings, because it's probably on your end. They're also saying that they're getting a lot of static. That is probably Edward. No, you're muted. So, who is not muted? Murray. Let me mute Murray first. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I think it was you, Murray. Okay. So when you're not speaking, Murray, if you could, be sure to mute yourself, because you've got so much background noise coming in. It's just this static, this kind of rumbling. It makes it hard to hear anybody else speaking.
BT,
And
I just want to say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sorry. I was checking on YouTube, the chat on YouTube, and your volume is quite right. So
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
does it
it's
have.
on their end. I often get comments like, I mean, when you do YouTube, you'll often get comments about audio levels that have nothing to do with your audio level. It's on their end. You know, they always assume it's the person streaming, but no. They opened up, if they're on Linux, Pulse Audio volume control, they'll see that they've got their output set to 7% or something. You know, that's maybe not even their fault. Pulse Audio does strange things on everybody's machines. My machine, their machine. So
Yeah.
no, but I'm checking the string in another laptop, and the audio is okay. So
yeah,
Yeah, it's
don't
fine.
worry about it.
yeah. The you're a little low though, Jean-Michel. You could bring up your volume a little bit.
Okay.
You're a little low compared to everybody else here. I'm not sure how I compare because I don't hear myself as far as what the YouTube stream is going to hear. I'm listening.
Derek, it's Murray. Did you still hear static on my side?
Yeah, it's just a
Or
little. It's just background noise. You know, it's just.
I'm trying to figure out what it is because I've got earphones and I've got the mic setting, so I'm just going to play around with it, see if I can get it better.
Well, it's not the headphones. It's just, you know, you have the gain set up fine. I mean, your volume, your voice, but it's picking up just normal background ambient noise in the room. You know, it's just.
Does it sound like a fan?
Yeah, it's, you know, the hum of your house, basically. Yeah, the hum of the room.
So turn off my fans. See.
Yeah. Well, central air and heat, refrigerator, you know, that kind of stuff.
There's nothing around. It should do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if your volume is pretty good, Murray. If you wanted to back up your volume just a tad, it might eliminate some of that noise. Other than that, there's really not much we could do. I mean, if I wanted to get really creative, I could try to filter all of y'all's audio through a noise gate. I mean, I could try that here live and see how that would go. It would be quite the experiment, but I could probably do it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm going to try it.
Okay, I'm going to try and turn off some appliances.
I have never actually tried this. I'm about to noise gate all of y'all.
Well,
so
I'm useful for something.
No, that noise gate. I'm kind of scared.
What are you trying to use for that?
I'm just going to use the OBS software for that. Because all of this is being streamed through OBS. If I wanted to, I could actually run it through my hardware behind me as well. But I can't do that right at this second because that would require a little more work on my part. Now, this is not going to fix the noise that I hear and that you guys hear. This is just for the YouTube stream. So, Murray, can you unmute yourself? And then if one of you guys can preview the stream and see if Murray's... Let's see. Hey, Murray, can you speak for us?
Hi there. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I've turned the fans off, so there should be no ambient background noise.
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I can get rid of the noise suppression now too. We don't need it.
I had 2 fans going in the background.
Oh yeah, so let me get rid of the noise suppression that I added because that's going to cause some problems. There's no reason to run it if you. Yeah, no, it was the fans. Yeah, really hot.
Back into business.
Yeah, really hot microphones are going to pick up, you know, computer fans and ceiling fans, and they'll pick up anything. If you happen to be recording in a kitchen, you know, the hum of, you know, refrigerators and microwaves and everything else will come through. Especially most microphones that people will buy, the cheaper microphones especially, they're going to be condenser microphones, and those things can be really live. Like the very first microphone I bought for the channel, as far as trying to upgrade my sound a little bit, was the Blue Yeti. And even with the gain on that mic turned all the way down, it would pick up the guy mowing his yard across the street. You know, it was just crazy how much noise that mic could pick up with the gain turned all the way down. If I turned it up, you know, it was like Murray earlier. You know, you just had all this background noise. You could hear the air conditioning going. You could hear the TV, you know, 2 rooms down. What most people do once they get into YouTube or podcasting, or where they are trying to get rid of as much background noise as possible, they eventually invest in a dynamic mic instead of a condenser mic. There's basically 2 kinds of microphones, and the dynamic microphone gets rid of most of that background noise. You have to be right up on it, and it's not going to pick up anything that's not right here on the microphone.
Do you have a recommendation for a good dynamic microphone that's not ultra expensive?
Well, what price range are you thinking about?
$100?
$100. Yes.
Too little?
Well, I'd have to do some pricing. Give me just a second. Because some of the more popular ones, I know the Rode Procaster is one a lot of people use, but that's closer. That's actually, let me Amazon it. That's about $200. What about? There's an Audio Technica one that's not very expensive. Let me do a search for it. I can't remember. That's the
Audio Technica, $149 in Canada.
Yeah, which
side address cardioid condenser.
Now you don't want the condenser. You want a dynamic. Audio Technica makes a dynamic mic, the ATR 2100. It's $102 US. So that is probably about as good as you can get.
Say the name again.
That's the Audio Technica ATR 2100. I've never used that microphone, so I can't swear to you that that's a decent microphone. But any dynamic mic is, if you're trying to get rid of background noise, any dynamic mic is what you want. Now, a dynamic mic is going to be completely different than a condenser mic. It requires a ton of gain, because they're typically quiet. And that's to drown out all that background noise. You got to be right up on it, and you've got to have a bunch of power through that thing. So you need a good preamp if you have a preamp. Or what most people do is that they end up buying a little box called a cloud lifter that adds about 40 decibels of gain to the mic, because you need that much gain added to the mic for it to even be audible. So they're typically really quiet. So you got to put a ton of gain through them. And then the mic needs to be close to you. You know, that condenser mic, you know, you could have 6 feet away from you in the middle of a room somewhere because it's picking up everything in the room. Can't do that with a dynamic mic. You got to be right up on it. Yeah, somebody in the chat is asking about this mic. This mic is... This is the RE27D, made by Electro Voice. So this is the Electro Voice RE27ND. Now this is an expensive mic. This is like a $600 microphone. Our Electro Voice makes some cheaper dynamic mics. They make the RE20, which is about $400. They make the RE320, which is about $300. And both of those are really good microphones too. So $300, if $300 is not out of your price range, the RE320 is fantastic for the price. You see it a lot with professional broadcasters, sporting events, they use these kinds of microphones, again, because they're in loud environments where you don't want all the background noise of, the crowd or whatever. It's just, see something like this sitting on a table and they can speak right into it and you don't get, all that ambient noise in the background. Now, somebody is asking about the Fifine mics. I'm not familiar with that company's mics. I mean, I've seen people on YouTube using them, but I've never personally used them, so I can't speak on the quality of mics from that company. For doing this kind of stuff, podcasting and radio, YouTube, people typically do dynamic mics, and the popular brands that people use are the Electro Voice, the 3 brands I just told you, the 320, the 20, and the 27ND, depending on price point. The Heil P40 is another popular microphone. I want to say it's around $400 or $500, and it's another one that's kind of a standard in radio and podcasting. I'm trying to think of some of the other. The Rode Procaster that I mentioned, that's about $230 US, is a popular dynamic mic. And of course, I almost forgot the Shure 7MB, the Shure, SHURE. That might be the most popular one now that I think about it. A lot of people use the Shure microphone. It's not very cheap either. I want to say it's about $400 or $500 too. So yeah, now the static is gone, but Murray's voice is gone extra loud. Murray, speak a little bit. Because I didn't notice Murray being that loud. He may have stepped away from his mic though. And somebody is asking about my...
How about now?
It sounds fine to me. But again, what I'm hearing is not what YouTube is hearing, but here in Jitsi, it sounds fine. So if somebody is asking about the situation with Manjaro, I don't know enough about it to speak on it. So Manjaro is having some internal issues with their people. One of the people that's been with the project for a number of years is left in protest over something to do with money and donations and how some of that money is spent. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to comment on that situation, not being privy to all the facts. So no point in even speculating. It says he is louder, DT. You okay? I don't know what that is supposed to mean. You know what? We're just going to quit trying to adjust the volume, though. We would be playing all day trying to get everybody's audio level set. You can't really, on these conference calls, we can't make everybody's audio level the same. And the reason is we don't have everybody on their own channel. Right? There's only 2 channels here. My channel, and then everything else coming through Jitsi, which is all of you. So I can only adjust my volume versus the rest of you, but I can't fix how Murray's volume relates to Jean-Michel's volume. I can't play with that. That would require a lot of work if we wanted to try that.
Yeah, but
that might work actually. Okay. Yeah, you can change somebody's volume on the right side, pressing the 3 dots.
We do have the little volume controller. Probably the only way I could, the only way that would really work though is I would probably have to crank up the volume output from Jitsi.
You also lower everyone else.
Yeah, I would have to just crank it much higher than it needs to be, and then so I would have some room to go lower. Yeah, probably the only way that would work. Yeah, I didn't notice the volume button, but there is. Oh. All right. Well, might be something we play with next time. next time I do this, I may, get in Pulse Audio and maybe set the Jitsi volume to like 120%, more than it really needs to. That way I can always back it back down, for the people that are too loud. All right. Yeah, I was looking at some Linuxy news to talk about, and the hot story here in the last few days has been that Manjaro topic. But again, I can't get into that because there's just not enough facts known about that. It's an internal thing anyway. One guy's mad at another guy, so he left the project. I'm not going to get into that drama. And let's see, some of what I've done on the channel recently that was interesting. Why Linux Mint is better than Ubuntu for new to Linux users. Let's talk about this. What was your first Linux distribution? Yeah. Because I think this is interesting. What did everybody get into first as their first desktop Linux distribution? Now, Michelle, what did you install first?
The first one, but it was quite a long time ago. It was Red Hat.
Okay.
But 92, 94.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, your only other option, was Slackware and...
and SUSE.
SUSE, yeah.
SUSE was the other option.
And weren't they all forks of Slackware originally?
I don't know. Yeah. I even don't know. But recently, when I restarted to use Linux, I started with Ubuntu.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I would expect probably most people have started with Ubuntu. That's why I was asking. I was just going to take a quick poll. In 2008, when I installed Linux on the desktop to actually use the first time, I mean, I'd used Debian and Red Hat on servers going back to the late 90s. But yeah, Ubuntu was the first for me as well. Anybody else want to share a first distro that they installed?
One of the first was PC Linux OS. I remember doing that.
Okay.
I can remember multiple KDE 4 desktops with different distros, but I was really distro hopping back then.
Yeah.
All the time.
And if you install PC Linux OS as your first distro, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you started doing desktop Linux like in the early 2000s, like 2002, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, that would be right.
Yeah, because it was really a popular desktop Linux distribution before Ubuntu. That's why I was, pre-Ubuntu. That would make sense. Another one that was really popular pre-Ubuntu, Mandrake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody start with Mandrake?
I didn't start with, but I installed it.
Yeah. When you were hopping around the RPM distros, you eventually got to Mandrake.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you are right with the point of the best Linux to install on people. I have a short experience 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, I'm not the youngest guy, and I have an older sister that had about 5 years PC with Windows 7 on it.
Oh, okay.
And she had a lot of trouble. And she asked me, and she said, yeah, she's willing to try Linux. So I installed a Mint, Linux Mint, the previous version, not the 2004. And she has absolutely no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So she's 76, and she has no problem with Linux Mint.
No.
So it's fine.
Yeah, I have installed a number of different Linux distributions on friends and family's computers over the years. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever had one I've installed on somebody's computer and they came back to me and said that there was any real problems. And that included various flavors of Ubuntu, Mint, MX Linux, I've had some success with recently. I've put Elementary on people's machines before. I guess the pattern is they've all been Debian or Ubuntu based distros, obviously. But for the most part, as far as desktop environments, people seem to be comfortable in most everything out there. Budgie, I put Ubuntu Budgie on people's machines before, and they were fine with that. But that's a very traditional kind of desktop, similar to Cinnamon, as far as it's got a, you know, traditional kind of menu system and everything, the dock at the bottom. You know, people kind of know how to use that. GNOME 3 on some distros is all right. Like GNOME 3 on Ubuntu, it's not horrible. GNOME 3 on Fedora, I wouldn't put Grandma on Fedora. Right?
No.
Or Debian, you know, a vanilla GNOME experience with. Of course, people call me a GNOME hater because I always talk bad about the GNOME desktop environment. But I don't necessarily have as much problem with the desktop environment as I do with some of the developers behind that desktop environment. I'm just going to leave it at that. We don't want to get off into the weeds there. They make some strange decisions. But like everything else, you know, it's your project, do what you want to do with it, but people don't have to like it. Let's see. I was also looking at, other than the beginner distributions, what else did I do?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Who was that?
Hello, hi. I just got my mic sorted.
Ah, Claudio. Yeah, how you doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine, thank you. Yeah, it was Ubuntu for me as well the first time.
Okay.
I was about 17 years old, about 2010, and that was my first Linux distro.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I expect, yeah, most people, if you were, I would say Ubuntu really exploded in popularity around 2006. Well, I imagine, you know, everybody that hopped to Linux, you know, after about 2006, probably 90% of them probably start with Ubuntu. Everybody pre-2006, that would have been the Mandrake and PC Linux OS kind of era. And then really before, like 2000, and what were you on? Jean-Michel would have to tell us about the 90s. What was the go-to beginner distribution in the 90s that people... Was there one? Probably SUSE, huh?
Yeah, I think SUSE was one of the good ones.
Yeah.
And especially when you went to a shop and bought SUSE, you had a real book.
Yeah.
So you had about a 500-page book.
And the floppies. Huh.
And 12 or 14 floppies, I don't remember. But you didn't need really to have an internet connection to be able to install it. So it was a lot of time, but you could read everything and learn everything from the book.
No.
And I think this was, at that time, really quite good. And a lot of people started with SUSE. So I remember a friend of mine they started with SUSE because they went in the shop, got the 500-page or 600-page book, and they could start to install. And usually the first install was taking 1 or 2 days. But it was also, of course, a way to learn.
Yeah. And it would make sense. SUSE could afford to put out the instruction manuals and the floppies for people to get all that stuff. Let's see. I made a video about 3 weeks ago that was kind of interesting, and it was really fun to make. I'm glad I made it. Is what's the best Linux? It's GNU/Linux. My little public service announcement kind of video with the background music, basically telling everybody about the GNU project and why they deserve more credit for the operating system. And all of that was really just the words of Richard Stallman. Everything I said in that video was just some copy pasta that I got off of the GNU.org website. If you go to their About page, Richard Stallman explains to you exactly what the deal with GNU and Linux is, their relationship. And I thought it was a very informative article. And I think he's absolutely right. The GNU project did so much heavy lifting for us to have this operating system, and so many people don't even know about it. Most people have never even heard of GNU. They just know Linux. They just know Linus Torvalds created the Linux kernel, so he created the entire operating system. And they don't realize that Stallman and the GNU team were working on the operating system, the compiler, and all the core utils and everything for years. They put a ton of work into it before Linus came along, and he just put that last piece of the puzzle. Like, he just fit that one piece in. And I can understand why Richard has kind of been upset about this over the years, because he has a point. Any thoughts on that? No, nobody wants to jump in on that one, huh? That's all right. Eventually, they're going to get the herd kernel straight, and then they won't even need Linux. So, I should review a distro that uses the herd kernel at some point on the channel. Not on physical hardware, because that would probably be virtually impossible, but I could probably do it in a VM. There's a few distros out there you can install the herd kernel. Like, we can get a fully 100% GNU operating system installed in a VM. I might take a look at it just to see what it's about. And somebody in the chat was saying you can use proprietary drivers along with the GNU software. Well, if you're talking about like some of the 100% free distros out there, so those, distros that are approved by the Free Software Foundation, yeah, they don't have any proprietary software in them. And you probably can't get proprietary software from the package manager, but they don't prevent you from going out and getting it yourself. And if you can figure out how to compile it and get it on your machine, go for it. They're not preventing you from doing that. They're just not going to help you with that. They don't make it easy. But I imagine a lot of people, probably most people that run those Free Software Foundation approved distros, probably many of them have a proprietary package or two on the system, because you would have to in some cases. Like if I put it on a laptop, one of these distros, Parabola or Triskel, and my laptop had a chip in it that required a proprietary driver, I would have absolutely no choice but to go out there and get that proprietary driver if I ever wanted working Wi-Fi. So,
It's not absolutely true. You can change the Wi-Fi.
You can buy a new chip. Yeah, you can buy the hardware for it. That's the Stallman argument, right? Just go buy a new computer.
No, not a new computer. So I have one. I have a Triskel machine.
Oh, okay.
An X200 ThinkPad. Mm-hmm. And I just changed the Wi-Fi card. Yeah. So it cost about $25.
Now, which one did you go with? Do you remember? Or what brand?
I have to check. Maybe I have to quickly start the computer.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I will tell you in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Or the next time I see you, or because if I ever need to change out a chip, because I've got these laptops behind me, and I'm sure I'm going to buy other used laptops at some point just to have test machines, and it would be nice to know what chip.
This is the fully GNU compatible compact.
I like the wallpaper. Got the new on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the chat, we've got someone letting us know what the worst Wi-Fi adapter is, his particular model.
Jean-Michel, sorry, pardon the question. Did you LibreBoot your X200?
Yeah, it's a LibreBoot. X200.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, if you're gonna do if you're gonna do fully free it, I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
There's a new Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm. Now,
there's a new Wi-Fi standard. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's a new Wi-Fi standard coming out, 6E, later this year. A new bandwidth, so you'll need a new router and a new laptop or a new configuration to get it on there, and it doesn't seem to be in the news very much on it. But apparently, it's quite a change to the bandwidth.
Oh, that's good to know. Somebody in the chat, yeah, the BIOS was an issue for Stallman when he was trying to find a completely free computer. Yeah, well, years ago it probably was a problem. Nowadays, there are people actually putting out like fully Libre booted machines for sale. Isn't the Pinebook a Libre boot? I haven't been able to purchase one because every time I go to their site, it's always sold out. But I want to say it's a Libre booted machine.
I think it's core.
Is it core
boot,
booted?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and Trip Code is in the chat. He can always Libre boot your ThinkPads if you send it to him. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, yeah, he can show you how to do all the soldering and everything. Yeah, Cat Daddy in the chat. WSL ought to be called LSW because it's backwards. Yeah, you're right. The naming, I haven't thought about that. The Windows subsystem for Linux. Yeah, that name is kind of strange because it is kind of backwards, isn't it? Because you're running a Linux shell, inside Windows. So why is it the Windows subsystem for Linux? Shouldn't it be the Linux subsystem for Windows? You got a point there, Cat Daddy. But then you'd have to put Linux first in the name, and the Microsoft folks just, on the principle of the matter, wanted Windows in the first part of the name. Yeah, LSW. I was reading a comment. LSW doesn't sound that cool. Yeah, that's probably why they named it what they did. Yeah, go ahead with your comment there.
I will write in the chat the type of the interface.
Okay. Yeah, it's not just a shell. You are running the lightweight VM, running the Linux kernel, and the subsystem for Linux. Yeah. Yeah, the GNU Ninja, he's running a LibreBoot X200 as his daily driver. Yeah, I need to get me one of those LibreBooted ThinkPads at some point. I'll find me a good deal on one soon. That way I can put something like Triskel or Parabola or something on a machine and at least say I'm 100% free on one of my computers. Anyone have experience with Ruby or Gem? That was from Tripcode. I do not. I don't do anything with Ruby.
I remember watching some evaluations of performance of different languages. The C-type languages compiled on the left were all on the left-hand side and really low, and Python was in the middle halfway up, and the Ruby bar was way past up and says still running on it. Wow. So Ruby is really slow to run compared to the others.
Yeah, the interface is the Atheros AR9285.
Ah, okay. Did you posted it in the
I posted it in the chat also.
The Jitsi chat? Okay. I got you. All right. Yeah, that is good to know in case I ever need to buy a cheap chip. Of course, I could always. Did you go to the? They have a website, right, where they list like compatible parts for the laptop, or how did you figure out that one was the one to get?
I found it on the LibreBoot homepage.
Ah, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Just for reference, in case I want to check out any other equipment later. All right.
And this is really cheap, so I bought it in Amazon.
Yeah.
It came from the US, in fact,
Yeah.
to Switzerland. but only 20, if I remember well, $22 or $23.
Well, I like cheap. I mean, if I'd buy something, it'll be for used machines, you know, this stuff behind me. Like these laptops behind me, I mean, I spent $300 probably total on the Toshiba Satellite, which is what's running right now. The ThinkPad that sometimes is behind me, I don't even think I've got $200 invested in that machine. So I wouldn't spend very much on replacement parts for those. They're not high-end machines. It's just stuff I throw different distros on every now and then. If I want to hop on something, you know, not my main production machine, you know. Yeah, trip code. He could send me one. Is he going to send me a Libre booted ThinkPad? I might have to get with trip code on that. I might have to purchase something from him. I think it would be kind of cool. All right.
Yeah, I had, of course, the advantage. I have a good friend that is, his field is the electronics, so I didn't flash the ROM myself. I went to him with the laptop, and he flashed it for me.
Hmm.
I was not feeling comfortable to do it myself.
Yeah, I you know, I don't play with hardware. You know, I'm a software guy. I wouldn't be comfortable, yeah, doing that myself either.
Yeah, but if you have a, yeah, I remember, I think it's the 60 series ThinkPad, you can flash them by only software.
No, you didn't have
But
to.
the X200 you cannot.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you start having to take things apart, and you know, I'd probably just let trip code handle that. And Bob is asking what model ThinkPad. If you're asking about what ThinkPad I have the E535. And somebody else is asking me, did I hear about Serpent OS? It is a future distribution that claims to be a Linux-only distribution, not GNU/Linux. Yeah, they're going to remove all the GNU bits, or at least they're going to attempt to. I guess change out all the user land applications and everything so they can just be a Linux distribution. That's, I guess, interesting, but I don't know. Does anybody really have a problem with glibc and, you know, bash and all the core utils? I mean, why would I want all that stuff ripped out of my Linux distribution anyway? That's the good stuff, right? I don't want you to replace that stuff with inferior alternatives. So
you would want to have a choice to do that.
I mean, yeah, that's good that you have a choice, yeah, but
you don't have a choice with glibc or GNOME, for example. Same goes with the Wi-Fi card, right?
Right. You saying you don't have a choice with GNOME? Does GNOME got some hard dependencies?
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, kind of. GVFS Fuse is a nice dependency for most file system related stuff I use, and there are no real alternatives to that.
Yeah. It's one of the things when I've played with Void Linux in the past, I never do the MUSL ISOs. I just do glibc because there's no issues with it. Right. But I guess that's cool. I don't hate having the option out there for a Linux only distribution. We rip out GNU and just have the Linux bits, because we've gotten to the point. Also, the GNU guys they're making pretty much only GNU operating systems now, with the herd kernel, obviously. But even, you know, some of the free software approved distros like Jean-Michel was running, Triskel and Parabola. I mean, all that is heavily GNU with the Linux Libre kernel, the Libre kernel. You know, it's got all the binary blobs ripped out. So you got two different ends of the spectrum depending on how you want to go. But I'm not sure one is better than the other. But choice is not a bad thing. Yeah, so we're getting some stuff about glibc in the chat. Glibc cannot be linked statically in programs where MUSL can be. MUSL is also lightweight, so we're getting back to the bloated argument is probably where we're going with that. Yeah, most BSDs are almost GNU free. Yeah, but BSD, this is a Linux channel. We don't care about the BSDs. If I was running BSD, I'd put some GNU back in it, though. Yeah, nobody uses the herd.
No.
No, not really. I'm going to do something with the herd on the YouTube channel. And that's my, I'm going to go ahead and commit to that. By the time we do another one of these monthly patron chats, I will have done a video about the herd kernel. I'm going to take a look at a herd distro. Guaranteed. Okay, don't hold me to that. I'm 50-50 on it. All right, well, we're coming up on the end of 2 hours here. We got a few people here still in the chat on the Jitsi call. You guys want to take a minute or two and give us a last word on our way out? So, Marcin, are you still available? You want to give us a last word?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think I have anything to add, but thank you for talking to us today.
Yeah, this was fun. Jean-Michel, you got anything inspiring to say to the good folks listening?
Nothing special. So I just really want to add that when I bought this X200 ThinkPad, it was not really to be completely free, but I was just wondering how it works.
So
I have it.
Oh. So you didn't set out.
I have it, and I use it, and I tried the beta version of the new Triskel now.
Mm-hmm.
It's working fine, but of course the machine is not the best machine anymore. It's of course a little bit slow, but I'm fine. So I use it also to do some tests, and I take it with me when I go to a Linux Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So I can show that I have
right.
removed it one.
When Triskel pops up, they're like, he's one of them.
Exactly.
He's one of those free software zealots.
Exactly. And no, for the rest, I have nothing. So again, like previously said, I thank you really for the great video that you are doing.
Oh,
I never miss one. So I will continue, and hope you will continue too.
No, I have no plans to stop.
So best greetings from Switzerland.
All
anyway,
right.
I'm in Switzerland, and we have nice weather now.
Great. It's nice weather here. It's just really hot. So
yeah, it's hot too.
Yeah. All right, Gabe, would you like to give us a last word, sir? If Gabe is there, he may not be at his.
I'm not really here.
Okay.
I'm just lurking, man. I just enjoy listening.
Yeah, we hadn't heard from you. I wasn't for sure if you had a microphone plugged in or not. But if you did, I was going to give you an opportunity to take a minute and give us a few words here if you wanted to.
I don't know what much to say, but I really do enjoy listening to you guys. This is very, very informative. It's good to hear this opinion about how people began Linux and how the journey started and where you guys are at now. Hearing everything from the latest tech to to what microphones you use. I really personally just enjoy it, and I'm sure a lot of other people who listen also enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. All right, Murray, would you like to give us some words?
Well, hi, thanks, Derek. I always enjoy your videos. I think you hit a sweet spot, and you're doing really well. If there's any developers out there, this Dart Flutter combination seems to be pretty good. It can do things that Electron can do without the bloat. But I'm retired, so I'm not going to pick it up. I'll leave it for others to do that. But if you're starting out in programming,
you said the B word, Murray. You said bloat. No, it's just a meme.
And Electron.
Yeah, Murray.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you do much with JavaScript, Murray, or are you just strictly Python?
No, I've done JavaScript. I know how to navigate the DOM and things like that.
Okay.
But I can take JavaScript or leave it, and I'd rather do Python than JavaScript on it. And I like desktop apps as opposed to
web
apps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave that for others.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Murray.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And Claudio, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I just envy you guys. You have good weather. The UK is raining and miserable. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's good weather. It's 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and it's very high humidity, so it feels like it's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit outside.
Right.
So, but yes, it's not raining. Most of the rain we get down here in Louisiana, it's usually in the colder months, the winter. It tends to rain all the time. In the summer, it doesn't rain that much. If it does, it's thunderstorms.
Fair enough. Okay. But yeah, no, thank you for your videos. I've been enjoying them so far. So keep up the good work.
No, thank you, Claudia. And we have Drew. I don't think he's said anything yet. Drew, are you there?
Yeah, hey, I failed to wake up in time this morning, so I kind of catching the latter end of this call, but
no problem.
Glad to catch the last little bit of it. But yeah, I recently switched over to Arch, and watching your videos have been super helpful in that respect. It's always good to see other people work through the same issues as you do. Yeah. And especially Xmonad, because I don't think I would have heard of that window manager otherwise. And I used to do a lot of Haskell programming on my own, just kind of for fun, but it kind of fell off. So it's kind of reinvigorated my love for Haskell. So I appreciate
here in the last few
being able
months,
to get back into it.
Yeah, here in the last few months, you mentioned, you don't see Xmonad and stuff. Yeah, I've been trying to get into some stuff that some other Linux content creators maybe wouldn't do because they're not popular. Well, you're not going to get a ton of views on a video about Xmonad. I know that, right? But I'm going to take one for the team because I think people need to know about it. I think we need more people using it, right? And that's the kind of stuff, so many people do Vim content. Let's do some Emacs content, right?
Yeah.
that's what, and people crave that content. I mean, there's even though it doesn't get a ton of views, the people that do watch it, they're really appreciative that somebody took the time to put that stuff out there, where most people are not going to do that. So,
the same with Qtile.
Oh yeah,
Qtile was another one.
Well, Qtile was really interesting because seriously, nobody had heard of Qtile before I started doing my videos on that. You can't go to Unix porn. You would have never went to the Unix porn subreddit and seen a screenshot of Qtile. It's unheard of. And I'd been using it for years. Like I was just that weird guy. I found some weird window manager nobody had ever heard of, and I'd been using it for like 6 years before I started my YouTube channel. I was like, man, you couldn't find a single YouTube video that mentioned the word Qtile. In the hundreds of millions of videos on YouTube, not a single one. And I was like, I got to tell the world about this. And then shortly after I started making those videos, Arco Linux makes a Qtile edition for them. Right? So I was like, yes, we did it. So
I played around with it because of your video, and I prefer to use that than any of the other ones because it's Python code.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. It may even be my favorite. I don't know. I fluctuate between so many window managers, but Qtile and Xmonad are near the top for me as far as just being really comfy living on them. And because I can pull up the configs and I know what those configs do because I wrote it, because I understand Python and I understand Haskell, where I don't understand C. So DWM, I mean, I like DWM, but I don't understand the source code for it. Awesome. I don't know anything about Lua. I just steal other people's configs. All right, guys. Well, my last word before I go, I need to thank all of you guys, of course, for hanging out with me on camera, the patrons that could be here. I also want to thank the patrons that could not be here with us on camera. So I'm going to share some names on the screen here. So these are all my patrons. I want to thank each and every one of those ladies and gentlemen. And I also want to thank all the folks that are still watching us on YouTube, you guys in the YouTube chat. Thanks for your questions and comments. And that is all I have. So everybody that's on camera, wave bye to YouTube. Just me and Jean-Michel. All right. Bye, YouTube.
Bye.